Right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about something which is actually quite raw for me. It's not the easiest to talk about, it's something quite painful. And that's the feeling of being either left on red or just ghosted, especially by a girl. Now, without going into too many specifics, there have been a couple of times just in the last year, and when I was younger, of course, but in the last year where there's been a girl who I've really liked. Maybe we've already been intimate with each other. We spent a good amount of time together. And for whatever reason, they've just ended up ghosting me afterwards. And the thing that I really struggle with is just the side of me that gets brought out. The physical symptoms of anxiety. Checking my messages like a crackhead to see if she's replied, to see if there's maybe still a chance for me, even when I think I know deep down that, it's never going to happen. The spiraling thoughts, the overthinking, blaming myself, thinking like, could I have done something better? Have I put her off? And then I think it's tough to talk about, but deep down, just kind of having this deep-rooted belief that maybe with any girl that I meet, it's only a matter of time before I just get ghosted or rejected. Yeah, shit's some heavy shit, man. Some heavy shit. And I feel kind of embarrassed to be talking about this because, these are things that were coming up for me when I was a teenager. And I'm nearly 24 now. You'd like to think you've got a handle on this kind of thing, but yeah, it's just kind of tough. But I want to teach you in this video how I'm learning to manage those feelings, because even though it's never going to feel nice to be rejected in any capacity, we'll treat getting ghosted or left on red like a rejection, even though I'm going to explain why it's not quite the same thing. The goal of what I've been learning isn't to just love and accept what's happened to you. It's always going to feel disappointing on some level. But what I'm learning to handle a little bit better is just those like spiraling thoughts. Checking my phone like a crackhead, just feeling really anxious 24/7. So yeah, basically, something really insightful which I've learned is, okay, so on some level, when this kind of thing happens to you, like I said, you're always going to be somewhat disappointed. That is a normal reaction when you're invested in making this relationship work and you get rejected. It's tough. You are going to experience disappointment. You are going to be like, oh shit, that's a shame. That side of it is normal. But that second level of it, the physical symptoms of anxiety, checking your phone compulsively, having like 10 million thoughts about what you could have done better, that is not normal. The first set of things which I talked about, the feeling of disappointment, that is a reaction to the present. You're reacting to the situation that's happening right now. But the second set of things, the anxiety, the compulsiveness, that is not normal. That is not a reaction to what is happening right now. And if it's not a reaction to right now, what do you think it might be? Because for me, something I realized was this is happening to me so often with the whole texting game. It just stresses me out so much. I always end up like this. And it's happened so much that I can't honestly say that, maybe if it happened once or twice, I could be like, oh, maybe the girl was just really beautiful. Or maybe I was just really overinvested. But if I'm feeling so anxious about it all the time with pretty much every girl, there's something going on there. And if I can't predict the future, if I can't predict whether this girl is going to respond to me or not, especially when I've just met her, I've got to be looking to the past. This reaction, these physical symptoms, the compulsiveness, I'm reacting to an old memory. I'm reacting to something which has happened to me in the past. And I'm basing this current experience and what I think will happen on some negative experiences from the past. So what we've got to understand is that you've almost got like two brains. So you've got your thinking brain, which evaluates your thoughts in a rational, logical way. And then you have your nervous system, which is almost like your second brain. And your nervous system actually stores memories, but not in the same way that our brain does. So rather than storing like clear, vivid memories and images like our brain does, your nervous system stores memories of like emotions, of times when you felt like you were in danger. It stores like threat patterns, if that makes sense. So your nervous system is there. I'm sure it's got many functions, but what I know of it is that your nervous system is there to protect you from danger. So you probably heard of fight or flight. The flight part of fight or flight comes from anxiety. Your nervous system causes you to feel anxiety as a way of protecting you in situations where you feel in danger. Now going back to the caveman times, this was really helpful, because when we were in danger, we actually were in danger. We could have been like being hunted by like a saber-tooth or something. It was there to protect us. But in modern situations, what it's there to protect you from, because our brain can't distinguish that from the past, what it's there to protect you from is when you feel deeply negative emotions, experiences where you got humiliated or made to feel a certain type of shame, embarrassment in public, could be any of those things. Your nervous system holds on to those memories. It holds on to them and stores them. So something from the past that made you feel that way, your nervous system saves that up. And then a lot of situations in the future where there could be some like little trace of what you went through in the past, your nervous system brings that straight back and applies that to the present. Even before your like thinking brain has a chance to like evaluate, is it worth me feeling anxious about this? Like actually like processing what's happening in front of you. Am I actually in danger? Am I actually in danger, or am I just reacting to the past? My nervous system is bringing this up in me before I've even like had a chance for my thinking brain to catch up. That is what's happening. That is what I believe is happening to me in these situations where I think a girl is about to ghost me. I think it's my brain reacting to past experiences where just the general theme of the experiences is where I just felt kind of abandoned, or I felt like unwanted or like unlovable. And we haven't got to know exactly what those experiences are, because our nervous system doesn't store memories like our brain does. It just stores patterns. So if you can figure out the pattern for me that runs throughout a lot of my childhood is just kind of getting bullied, being rejected by different friend groups and stuff, being made to feel unwanted. And then there's some other patterns there that I can like remember a bit more vividly, which are more to do with girls. Like for instance, I actually got ghosted by the girl I lost my virginity to. Like I was absolutely whipped on this girl. Like I was almost in love with her. And I think part of that is normal because she was my first. And she actually ended up ghosting me, and then I like found out later on that she'd been like spreading some like nasty rumors about me, which was just a really, really shitty experience to go through. So no wonder I'm like applying that pain, and my body feels like it's in fight or flight mode and under threat when I'm talking to girls, because I'm basing my perception of girls on her and maybe some other girls from the past. So yeah, just to track back to what I was talking about, let's say 50% of what you're experiencing when you get ghosted is a reaction to the present. That feeling of disappointment. That is normal, and that is something we're just going to have to live with. But what we can say to ourselves is, we can survive disappointment. We can survive that. But the other 50%, the physical reaction, the anxiety, the compulsive behaviors like constantly checking your phone, that's not normal. That is a reaction from the past. So what we need to do, the first step we need to do, is we need to acknowledge that we are reacting to the past. We need to separate these two experiences. Let's say the feeling comes on that you need to check your messages to see if this girl's replied to you. First of all, what we can do is we need to delay that urge for 20 seconds, because this becomes an unconscious behavior. We go and check our phones because our nervous system needs that relief. We want that relief. And because something else I didn't mention was because, like, as opposed to getting rejected in real life, the whole experience has like a clear beginning and end. We close that loop very quickly. We get rejected, it hurts, but we go on with our day. We know that, we'll live. With like texting and stuff like that, there's so much more like ambiguity. There's not really like a clear beginning and end. So our nervous system is like, it's experiencing that urge to constantly be checking our phone because we want to close that loop. Our body doesn't want to feel like it's in danger anymore. But because like texting in itself is just such like an uncertain way of communication, you'd never really know like where the beginning and where the end is. We never really get that. And it becomes unconscious. When she does reply, it reinforces the behavior that checking our phone is going to help. That's going to make us feel better, even though we feel worse eventually. So the first thing we want to do is delay the urge to check your phone. Only for like 10 seconds, 10 to 30 seconds, just to interrupt that unconscious pattern. Just put a bit of like distance in between us and our phone. Just like give ourselves that thinking time. That's all this is. Number 2, separate those two experiences. So even if you don't know what may be causing these anxious feelings within you, what your body is resisting, what your nervous system is trying to protect you from, even if you don't know that, just simply acknowledging out loud, okay, I'm anxious, but I am reacting to the past rather than the present. I'm not reacting to right now, or I'm reacting to the past right now, but in this current moment in time, I'm not in any danger. I'm cool. She could reject me, and that's disappointing, but I can live with it. I'm going to survive. There'll be other girls out there. That's what you got to say to yourself. Number 3, because we check our phone as a way of like regulating our nervous system, giving ourselves that closure, we've got to find some other way to do that. We've got to replace the behavior. So now what I do, which is scientifically proven to calm your body down and take you out of that anxious state, deep breathing. So I breathe in through my nose for 5 seconds, then out through the mouth for 8 seconds. Specifically, the thing you need to focus on is your exhales being longer than your inhales, which is actually how we're supposed to breathe. Because when you're breathing like really, really fast, that's a sign that your body is tense. That's what a lot of mindfulness focuses on, like the breath. So I know people who are really mindful, who've meditated for a long time, and just by like, they're able to like notice just like the slightest change in the length of their breath, and they'll know like, okay, something's bothering me right now. Something's making me tense. I need to look into it, which is a very interesting topic in itself. But just like 3 sets of 5 on the inhale, 8 on the exhale, you'll be feeling a lot calmer. You'll be thinking more rationally, and you'll be left with that 50% normal reaction, just kind of disappointment, but you don't end up spiraling. You don't end up spiraling into those compulsive behaviors and overthinking. Then finally, step 4, tell yourself, now that you're a lot calmer, you're thinking more clearly, we're not going to stop ourselves from checking. We're not going to tell ourselves we're not going to check. We're not going to like deny ourselves that. What we're going to do is just delay it again. We'll just say, in 15 minutes, if I still feel like checking, I will. And you might be wondering, like, okay, why am I just telling you, like, why am I giving you permission to check it still? So the reason is it all comes down to that unconscious part of our brain becoming conscious. We've been checking our phone unconsciously, and it's driven by our emotions and our nervous system rather than our thinking brain as a way of getting that relief. So we're making that part of our brain conscious, and we're retraining that behavior, which has kind of become automatic. It's become a habit. So just by doing that, just by bringing like a bit of awareness into it, sure, I probably am still going to like be checking my messages periodically, but if I actually am just like busy throughout my day, if I've got work to be getting on with, or I want to spend time with friends or family, I don't need to be checking my phone. I don't need that. Like, I don't need this compulsive part of my brain taking over and like just fucking up my day, So yeah, that's all pretty much. I'm still on my own journey here. And it feels kind of typical, like, man, like I do okay with girls, but it's like, sometimes it feels like this just happens way too much, and it is what it is, man. Like, this is training for life. This is like a really important life skill. And I'd like to think having this level of awareness will really help me just kind of like tune out all of the noise, all of like the irrational anxiety and fear from the past, for when I actually do meet the person I'm supposed to be with. So yeah, man, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.